Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode. Unfortunately, I didn't do last week. I ended up missing that one. I haven't been very well, in all honesty. I haven't been quite right since summer. I got a cold, which settled on my chest, and I struggled to get rid of completely. And then I went and got another stinker of a cold, which left me in bed for a few days. So yeah, I'm starting to finally feel a little bit better. It's really quite cool and autumnal this morning, but I thought I'm feeling a little bit better. I will come out and take you around for a walk with me around Hardwick Hall. It is the home, or was the home, of Elizabeth Cavendish, who then became Elizabeth Talbot, Countess of Shrewsbury, otherwise known as Bess of Hardwick. And she grew from relatively nothing. She grew from a very, very minor family, and then through a series of 4 very successful marriages became the second most powerful and richest woman in the whole of England under Queen Elizabeth I. So she was quite a formidable force, and she really loved building. And today I'm going to take you around one of her houses, Hardwick Hall. It's an absolute magnificent art piece. I hope you like it. And here she is. This is Hardwick Hall. More glass than wall. There's a local saying here in Derbyshire, Hardwick Hall, more glass than wall. But this is Elizabeth Talbot's statement piece of just how wealthy she was. The fact that she could afford as much glass as is displayed here on this house, it literally covers every facade. And they get bigger and bigger as you go up from the first floor all the way up to the top. Now, back in the Tudor period, glass was extremely expensive, so this is a blatant display of her wealth. Not to mention the ES on every single tower. Everybody needed to know that this was Elizabeth Shrewsbury's house. So she was quite a formidable woman. Hardwick's history is closely associated with the lady who built it, Elizabeth, Countess of Shrewsbury, known to many simply as Bess of Hardwick. Born on the site of Hardwick Old Hall, Bess rose to a position of great power within Elizabethan society. By her mid-teens, Bess of Hardwick found herself at court in London as lady-in-waiting to a member of her extended family. While at court, Bess caught the eye of an older courtier, William Cavendish, Treasurer of the King's Chamber, and the two were married in 1547. The couple had 8 children, 6 of who survived into adulthood, and they set up their family home at Chatsworth, the first of many homes that Bess commissioned. William died in 1557, and 2 years later Bess married again, this time to Sir William St. Lo, Captain of the Queen's Guard and Grand Butler of England. The marriage to St. Lo was short-lived as he died in 1565, but again Bess managed to secure most of his great wealth for herself. Secure at Chatsworth and very wealthy, Bess married for another time, this time to George Talbot, the 6th Earl of Shrewsbury. In 1567, a statesman high in royal favour, and Bess became a countess. Soon after they were married, Shrewsbury was made custodian of Mary Queen of Scots, who remained in his charge for the next 15 years, moving from one or another of his many mansions, including Chatsworth. The strains of the royal guest put pressures on Bess's marriage, and after several years of bitter quarrelling, Bess of Hardwick left Chatsworth and came back to her childhood home at Hardwick. For the next few years, Bess started to construct a new house around her old family home, the building that we can now see as Hardwick Old Hall. Even before this new house was finished, however, plans changed. In 1590, the Earl of Shrewsbury died, and barely a month later, the foundations were being dug for Hardwick New Hall. By the mid-1590s, when Hardwick was taking shape, Bess had already finished furnishing her great house at Chatsworth, but could only bring a small proportion of the contents with her when she moved back to Hardwick. So in the winter of 1592, Bess went on a shopping spree whilst in London. Amongst her purchases were the Gideon set of tapestries bought from the estate of Sir Christopher Hatton for the huge sum of £326, 15 shillings and 9 pence, which is about the equivalent of £128,000 in today's money. Quite an extravagant shopping spree. The Gideon set of tapestries comprises of 13 individual tapestries, and these line the hall of the long gallery which you'll just have seen, and they portray the biblical story of Gideon. Hardwick is renowned for its textiles, including the extensive collection of tapestries which Bess amassed, and they are considered one of the best collections in the entire world. Although these textiles and tapestries look dull and faded today, they would once have been bright and colourful. They would have been resplendent in these rooms, and they were another sheer display of her wealth. Today, to halt the deterioration of these irreplaceable objects, they are part of a conservation project in which the National Trust sends them off to Belgium, I believe, where they undergo extensive repair and stabilisation. Just the cost of one of these Gideon tapestries is £278,000, and it takes over 2 years to complete. So it's a mammoth task keeping this house alive and in the state that it's in. So how did Hardwick Hall fall into the hands of the National Trust? In 1950, the unexpected death of the 10th Duke of Devonshire, with the subsequent death duties, caused a sale of many of the Devonshire assets and estates. The decision was taken to hand the house over to Her Majesty's Treasury in lieu of the death duties in 1956. With the state now owning Hardwick Hall, the Treasury transferred the house to the ownership of the National Trust in 1959, so that they were able to conserve it and keep it preserved for future generations to enjoy. Good morning, Heidi.
Good morning.
Where are we going, darling?
To the woods to find red and white toadstools.
Woods to find what, darling?
To find red and white toadstools.
Toadstools. That'd be exciting.
Red and white ones.
Yeah? Let's go. Good morning, everybody. We've just come out for a little wander by Sherwood Forest. It's feeling very autumnal and cold this morning, so we've come out for a little walk, and I've got a little surprise to show you. We have finally bought a van. If you're a member of our Patreon community, you will have found this out a few weeks ago, but we finally bought a van which we're going to convert. We've been busy putting in windows. I'll just put this one in at the side, this little one, over the weekend. And we've done, let me show you inside. Right, so we have done the sound deadening on the wall. We've put in all the floor insulation. And next up, we're going to be laying the floor. And we've also done two air vents. This one will be over the kitchen. And then we've got the one at the back there. So next up is flooring, wall insulation, and then getting the wiring in place. But we're so excited, so we're just taking it out today for a little drive about. Ow.
There's one in there.
Ow.
Be careful. Careful, Daddy, I don't want
And prickly boys.
Oh, that's splash. Tree. Oh, that's the little.
loads. Oh my god, there's Heidi.
Oh my gosh, there's loads through there. At the back, there's
Like
tons.
dinner plate size.
For watching. I really hope you've enjoyed this little episode, and if you have, please do hit the subscribe button below. It really helps this channel grow, and if you're able to, please do support us on Patreon. Thank you very much, and I will see you next week. Lots of love.